You have a lot of Gryd people online defending Gryd, except Skip. Skip definitely try to clear the misconceptions.
So I worked for Community Build, who had a Gryd contract. And then I left and went to Soledad Enrichment, which is St. Michael's on Manchester, right off of Vermont. And I worked with them for 2 years. And that was a starting lineup. It was me, Twin from 40s, Maniac from VN. They both rest in peace now. You know, Big from Neighborhood Block. He rest in peace now. Twin from from
107.
107. Taco from Gardena. We had a hell of a lineup, man, and J Bone from 107, and oh man, I forgot another dude, Quincy. I think he's Q Ball from 7-4. He rest in peace. Damn near everybody on our squad rest in peace, man.
Okay. Now, have you been keeping up with all the information that a lot of out-of-towners, even some locals, have been saying about the Gryd, about it being working with the police and providing information and basically snitching on other gang members?
Once we didn't put the paperwork out,
Big uterus is no more.
You getting paid $1.6 million a year. Your job is to turn in guns, report gang activity, report gang hotspots, and this is an annual contract that's only renewed based upon performance, and we issued you a BlackBerry to communicate with the 77th Street Crash Division, and it's your name down here, and we looking at all this shit, and it said you went from $550,000. 2 years later, they gave you $440,000 raise and kept going to you over $2 million. Right now, listen, bro, at that point in time, and we produced that work and sent it to everybody where they looking at it, at that point in time, you're not that no more. You have to provide the serial numbers on the guns retrieved.
Everything.
But see, it's getting weird, though, because he writing down serials
and passing out to the homies.
Sending them out. So then when something weird is happening, it's like it's a bonus. I may know where that came from.
Okay, so where has that happened at? Because one of the things, I was part of the Professional Standards Committee that oversaw everything that Intervention did with the Gryd. And my expertise was law enforcement interaction. How do you interact with law enforcement? How do you respond to the yellow tape to get information from law enforcement? So it was always a thing that if anybody gives any information to law enforcement, whether it's a rumor or whether it's the truth, they're eligible to be terminated. And we can't make the agency fire them, but what we could do is take the certification back, saying you're not certified to work in Los Angeles. And I never got, I stopped with that probably about 2018 or 19, but I never, in the years that we started from 09 till whatever time I quit, about 10 years, I never got anybody in front of us saying, oh, he's snitching.
Now, you're familiar with what Munchie said on a Clubhouse while he was a little inebriated, because I think you addressed it on your channel, Skip. You did a video. Can you tell us, Munchie, remind the people what you said, and then let's talk about what your reaction to that, Skip.
I was on that dumbass app I deleted. Yeah, it ain't for me. You know what I mean? Then, so I was faded. I was drunk, and I was trying to explain, dumb it down, and explain to them, okay, so I'm an ambassador. I got influence from where I'm from, and I get paid to be from IFG. So when I said that
part sounds crazy.
Yeah, it didn't land well. You feel me? So even though it was like a 3-hour little recording, somebody took a sound bite and put his caption with it, and it did what it did throughout the internet. So it made it seem like I'm a snitch or whatever. But Skip has spoke man, you got to speak, you know what I'm saying? Man, must you my boy, and it meant that way. Explain, you know what I'm saying, how it should have been said instead of how I said it, and you know what I mean? Yeah, it came out wrong or whatever. So I have to eat that.
Now, you remember your response to that, Skip?
I don't know. I can't. I remember that I did respond, but I don't remember what I said. I just know that what I said was that Munchie, the way he said it was taken out of context. Because he doesn't get paid to be from IFG. He gets paid to be an influence. Hey, this is Skip Townsend. Ignorance is at an all-time high. I came on here just to share with y'all that Munchie B going viral for saying some things that he might have said it in the right place of heart, but he's put it in the wrong context. Munchie B is my guy, and I'm going to tell y'all what an ambassador is. You don't get paid because you're from a certain neighborhood. Even though people like myself will help you get to become an ambassador because you're an influence, because you can influence that neighborhood to stop the violence, stop the shooting, stop the writing on the walls. So don't nobody get a BlackBerry. Don't nobody have to report nothing to the police. Ain't nothing in the report that the police get. What happens is the city of Los Angeles, not even Inglewood. Inglewood don't believe in intervention or ambassadors. The city of LA want to know how can we reduce the violence, and the city of LA pays ambassadors to use their influence to stop the foolishness. That's it, that's all. You don't have to write a report and give it to the police. You ain't got to meet with a sergeant or none of that type stuff. What happens is document what it is that you doing. That's what the city will pay for an ambassador. What are you doing? So if a fight broke out, did you sit there and watch it? Did you film it and post it on YouTube? Or did you break it up? Did you tell somebody, hey, look, man, I'm about to call your mama? Or did you tell somebody, hey, man, hold on, man, your brother's coming, man. I'm going to get this shit to stop. How do we stop people from killing each other? How we stop them from fighting? How we stop from all the foolishness that goes on? And sometimes it takes somebody with influence who know people. But the same, I don't want to name names and name drop, but some of the names we just use, so what I did was when they said you got slots, Skip, you got slots to have them as ambassadors, I immediately went after the influence. Okay, well, I want Munchie to keep everybody from Inglewood from crossing Florence. Don't go down there right on the walls or shoot nothing. I got it, little AD. Man, can I get you to make sure don't nobody cross Florence, go up there shooting nothing right on the walls? So I get those influences to be ambassadors. And they don't get paid because he from 60s, or he don't get paid because he from family. They get paid to stop stuff. Like, even I'm going to give you a good example. The Jesse Owens Park, little youngsters just hit up Manchester and Crenshaw. Just tow the wall up, right? So what I would want is for the people who work with me, people I can call, man, let's go take it down. So Frog from 8 Trade went to take it down. You know what I mean? He's working with the city. He's working. He's an ambassador with the city. He works for the council member, all that. So he's not from Inglewood. They don't get paid to do that. But as a favor, man, take that down because I don't want the youngsters to look up and these idiots put their name up there. You know what I mean? So, man, take that down. That's what I need from Munchie. And Munchie has done that. When I had people writing on the walls, I can call Munchie and say, man, talk to this dude for me. Or get at them, and the same with AD. So that's what an ambassador does, is stop the foolishness from happening. And they don't have to write a report and send it to the police. All that's asked for in the ambassador is that they say, what did you do today? Oh, I took the writing down off the wall. Man, I talked to Skip. He was telling me about a youngster. I hollered at the youngster and their family. I took a youngster to get enrolled in school today. Or one of the youngsters went to court and I went and supported him in court. That type of thing. But they're not talking about who got guns, who got drugs, and getting people arrested. That's not ambassador. Those are confidential informants. And
when the example that you gave about the graffiti on the wall and they painted it or cleaned it, does that information get inserted into an app, or is it done paper and pen? How does that information get uploaded?
It's an app.
It's just an app.
It goes in the app. It goes into the app, and the app goes to the city. So a lot of people are absolutely right. We can't stop the city from giving police information. So what I do is I train everybody with me. And what it would be in the app is remove graffiti and where the graffiti was and what wall. Was it one wall, two walls? But like I said, the little boys left their name. That's not getting in the app. I'm not putting it was Dead Eye and Rat. Yeah. I'm not doing that. I'm just putting the graffiti was there. Even in a fight, when these dudes is fighting, I'm not saying, well, this dude hit that dude, whatever. I'm just saying broke up a fight. I'm generalizing so no one's name is in it, so that when it gets back to the city, they supposed to keep it 100 and it's not supposed to go to the police. So we don't implicate. I'm going to use the word correctly. We don't implicate anyone.
Correctly used.
Yeah. I'm not implicating someone because they wrote on the wall or they hit somebody or whatever.
Now, there's some huge voices on the internet that like to bring up this topic of ambassadors or Gryd and say, they're turning over information to the police. He's snitching. And we'll name one of them, Wack100. This dude loves to distort and present misinformation.
Yeah, because what got my attention was the BlackBerry. All those years, because Big U was not a computer savvy type dude. You understand what I'm saying? That ain't what he does. So I was asking him, why you got a BlackBerry? You know, he had a regular phone, an Android, an iPhone, whatever it was. I said, why you got a BlackBerry? And he would always give me an excuse, oh man, this is a backup phone, whatever. I never really heard the phone ring. So when I'm reading the paperwork at the link he had, I see it says, issue from 77th Street Crash Division, BlackBerry cell phone to correspond with law enforcement. I couldn't eat for a week. Now I'm nervous. So I don't know how I got dude to get online with me. Maybe he heard me run a room on him, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to him. I said, bro, I don't know nothing about what a grid is. Nothing. I see you broke it down. I'm not questioning it. But what's up with the paperwork? Paperwork come to me, the raw paperwork that he was breaking down. So I'm reading, I'm going through it like 100-something pages. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Because now I'm like, dude is a double agent.
What do you say to people like him and others that are just determined to put the stamp that they're cooperating with law enforcement?
Well, the one thing I say, and I don't want to just say it to Wack because there's been others. So I want to say it to everybody who's been saying that, is that before the Gryd started, there was intervention. They had the community collaborative where, you know, we're all meeting. So as we keep evolving this work, the one thing that we never want to do was to work side by side with the police. We don't have the same objective. The police are looking to make arrests. You know, we don't want any arrests to be made. We don't want nobody dead, but we also don't want them in jail. So I would say to all of them that if you guys weren't there when people before me, some of the names you just named.
Right. The long table.
Yeah. So if they're not there at the meetings, then how can you speak on something? When I was there, and I just shared with you guys that I gravitated to Looney and Bo in 2005 and put both feet in 2006. So none of them were there. And if anybody was there, they could speak to the fact that it was never a BlackBerry given by the police and, you know, all that type of stuff. So I want to put that out there for Wack, but I also want to put it out there because there's so many others that's been saying the same. People who not even in LA, but like you said earlier, the huge voice. Because the voice is so huge, they believe that anything that comes out of it is the truth. I was at the table. I could tell you who's at the table. When we created the Community Engagement Action Committee with Congressman Adam Schiff and Tony Cardenas, there's no police at the table. It's all interventionists from the Valley, San Pedro, South LA, and Boyle Heights. So,
and also there's a distinction between the city of LA government and the LAPD. Right. A lot of people just put them together as one. Yeah. But you're saying that the city of LA is not supposed to turn that information over to LAPD. No. But they can. There's nothing to stop them from doing it.
No, they won't. They won't because now the director of Gryd, I want to say his name is Melvin Hayward Jr. All right. But Melvin Hayward was a one-time, and he don't run from it. He's from Venice Showline. So he got the same rules that we got. So Melvin ain't making sure, but you know, even before that, Guillermo Cespedes, he was the director. And, you know, I mean, he comes from the Bay Area, originally from Cuba, but he lived around here. You know, he lived in the Leimert Park area. So, you know, that wasn't getting out to the police. We would do everything, but that doesn't mean they can't get a subpoena to look and see at our records if they're looking for a certain person. That's why we don't give up names. So if I'm working with somebody like Munchie, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take his birthday. Say, give me your birthday. I'm going to put the birthday right there, and then instead of me putting his real initials, I'm going to put MB or something. You know, I'm make up something and put it right there. So now everybody on my team know who I'm working with, who I took to court, who I got a bus pass for, who I got in school, you know, who I talked to his mom or his dad or whatever. But it's nobody's name right there. So we just count our clients, but we're not naming them and making sure, and something else real quick before I move on, sticky notes. So a lawyer told me, never write in a file. Put it on a sticky note. Matter of fact, you've been a defense expert. Put it on a sticky note. So if they want to see my notes, I give them all of my files, but take my sticky notes. That's not part of that subpoena.
Yeah.
And now all my sticky notes stay with me.
Yeah. I deliberately don't write or type up reports unless I'm asked to, because they could request it.
Yes.
They could request all my notes. So, but yeah, they've been dragging my boy Munchie B through the mud on the internet, and there's some huge voices that find joy in this. I guess they think it's entertainment, but at the same time, it's pretty slanderous to Munchie and others. And I'm sure you've taken some hits in this arena. What can we do about it?
How do you have a conscious conversation with unconscious people? If they're unconscious and they don't understand, they don't know they're unconscious, what can I talk to them about? Absolutely nothing. But I can give you names. Rest in peace, Big Dan, who just recently passed away. Wesley Logan, and you interviewed him too. Moved out, Lil C's and all these. They ain't never called and said, "What Munchie doing?" You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. His peers, his age group. Bisco, Rod Dog, Tiny Nut, they ain't never said, "Hey, what you got?" If they not saying that, how can somebody from Kansas City or from St. Louis or somewhere in the Midwest or wherever, how can they say something based on what a huge voice says?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Makes none.
But hey,
Big Bang got my number. If I was doing something wrong, Big Bang from IF would be on my bumper like, "Man, what is you doing with the homie?"
And we actually had a couple homies from where you and I grew up, Skip, doing Gryd. Madd Ronald had an office over there
indeed.
by First AME Church. They had an office, right?
Yeah.
And Big Tick was also part of the Gryd.
Yeah.
And
Tick still is. And Baby Monster.
And Baby Monster.
Reputables.
Yeah.
Baby Monster, a squab, you call him, he'll be ready. So yeah, it's just what people believe. Not only them, man, we've had D-Mac from Harlem. We've had C-Dog from Harlem. We've had Looney from Harlem. I could name people from every hood. Right now, we talking about Big Twin from 107. Hoover Sam. It don't get no bigger than that from Hoover. I mean, it might, but I don't know anybody bigger than that from Hoover. We got so many different people, man, who got these reputable names. They ain't told on nothing or nobody.
Yeah. Now that we got you clearing some misconceptions, but for the most part, the anti-Gryd voices on the internet outdo the people that understand what Gryd really is.
Hey, and another thing, man, I'm the last person the police want to work with, right? Because for one, they go be like, Munchie, he ain't changed. That's crap. He's acting. That's what they gonna say. They not gonna be with, like, let's say if I try to get a permit to do something, a Richard Hart event, some gang intervention, like, you know what I'm saying, in Inglewood, man, James Butts go, he ain't getting no permit. Not Munchie B. Like, it's not gonna work in my favor.
The police don't want to work with the gang members either, though.
The mayor of Inglewood ain't going to mess with
work. They don't want to work with Gryd. They don't want. You know that we threaten their job security. Do you know that the intervention workers? Can you imagine that the level of? Okay, let's say this. I was at the table in 2009, and I remember with the 30s, and we came up with an agreement of some sort, so where y'all leave us alone, we'll leave y'all alone, and the shooting stopped, and it ain't been a murder since then, right? That was me and Skip and Monster and whoever else was in the room with us, and it was a bunch of 30s, right? And the thing about that is this here, man. When it comes down to all of this here, and we looking for everything what it is, right? You're going to always have people that's going to speak about what's going on, but they don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on in the room with the real dudes, because the real dudes is trying to get in the room. Ain't none of us that got history in this, that have been through these prisons and these funerals and all this other stuff, and that really, really, really got a moral compass, which every human being has somewhat of a moral compass. They can sit back at 35 and 40 years old and advocate the murder of a teenager in the streets just because he got on the wrong colored tennis shoes. Because when you get 30, 40, 50 years old, you also got kids and grandkids that same age, just walking them streets, they might be wearing them same color tennis shoes obliviously and not attached to nothing. So to save those lives, I mean, everybody got to do their part. And the thing about it is fascinating, like you saying, Munchie, I'm going to tell you something about that, Munchie. Keep this in mind always. And like I said a minute ago, an ounce of bad outweighs a ton of good always. People going to always talk. You know what I'm saying? You got people that's always going to be haters. You're going to have all that there. I learned keep moving forward. Because if you talking about me, you ain't doing nothing. I'm making moves while you talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of missed a lot of the hater stuff on the internet, right? Or did you ever?
I don't worry about it. I don't care about it.
But did you ever get a bunch of haters on the internet in your DM or?
Not really. I never trip because I don't be on that. I don't be on the controversies.
Man, but I learned a lot of people just be wanting my spot.
But Munchie don't be doing nothing and got like 10 haters already.
But you're gonna have
I'm
that.
immune
though.
to it now, though.
You're gonna have that though. You gotta remember, man. Either direct, indirect. Either they're gonna speak or they're gonna be quiet. But they're gonna exist. Yeah. You can't do nothing without the haters. They're there, man. You gotta be. You know what I'm saying? The key objective to that. The key objective to that is this here. You can't glorify them and give them the shine. You can't take the time of day to be saying, "Oh man, I'm not gonna take 30 minutes a day to get on." If you get on the internet and speak on me for 2 minutes, I'm not gonna spend 30 minutes trying to justify myself.